So we're back, episode 6 of Hashbang TV.
Hashbang.tv.
Very important, .tv, not .com. So what do we have for you in this latest episode? Well, we have Justin Boswer from HTK Horizon. He's going to be talking about his company that's been growing since 1996, which is really interesting. We've also moved. We're still in the Innovation Warehouse. If you haven't been here, by the way, you should really come and check it out. It's just by Farringdon Station, and they have a lot of events here, and you can come and kind of hang out and work from here during the day. So it's a nice space.
It's right next to Smith. It's part of Smithfield Market.
Yeah, so these kind of windows that you can see, that the ironwork in the background is all part of the original Smithfields Market. So it's a pretty cool place.
So it's a co-working space. Lots of new startups in here being incubated. Very interesting.
Yeah. And we've moved rooms. So last show we were in the big room. We're back in the footstep room, which is where you can hear people clonking past us on the wooden floor. So it's all part of the charm of the show, I think.
Yeah. So as well as Justin, we're going to talk about Bath Digital Festival, which was last week, which we both went to.
Yep. So all that's coming up.
Pleasure to say we're joined by Justin Boswer from HTK Horizon. Welcome.
Hello, welcome.
Newly crowned Britain's Brightest Business.
Yes, we are. It's probably the most exciting thing to happen in Ipswich for decades.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about HTK Horizon. What do you do?
Okay, so we've been around for about 15 years, reinvented ourselves a bit over that period. Started up, we were doing software as a service 15 years ago, but the customers are dialing up to our platform through ISDN 2s, and we had a little internet thing in the corner of the room. Started as an IVR company, doing interactive voice and voice speech technologies.
Okay.
Moved then into multi-channel, which for us was email, texting was coming along, so we did some stuff with texting. And joining all that stuff up, we did a whole bunch of stuff over the years in big government projects.
So you mentioned that you started in 1996, and that you've had a few people already sort of serve 10 years with you. How did the whole thing come about? Where were you working before? And how did
I left school at 16. I've got a twin brother. My twin brother and I, well, he's kind of set up the company. I came on shortly afterwards. We run the company together. I left school at 16 because I was fed up, frankly, of being in the same class as him and competing with him. So he did A-levels, did a degree at UMIST in computation. I then joined BT as a chimp. That's what they used to call their trainee apprentices. And I then finished up in the kind of, I probably am allowed to say, the secret squirrely bit of BT, behind the big steel doors on the top floor, which was great. Good, some great tech going on there. But I couldn't tell anyone what I did, otherwise I had to eat them afterwards. So, and then Marlon gave me a call one day and said, setting up a company, 100 quid in the pot, do you fancy it? So I said, yeah, no kids, give it a crack.
A lot of the companies that we either work with or come on the show tend to be companies that kind of are going through a venture kind of fundraising process, and they're looking to raise capital that way. Your kind of story is almost the complete opposite to that. Self-financed, been building since 1996.
Yeah.
So take us through that kind of thought process, why you chose that route rather than a venturing route.
Sure.
And what your kind of options might be in the future in terms of how the company might grow.
Yeah, I mean, we are in a really growing, exciting space now. So I think where we go to, we may want to look at some point at some investment. But where we've been, the whole principle for us was twofold. One is wanting to avoid getting the heart and soul ripped out of the company by VCs or Again, I've heard this of IPOs as well, and guys who've listed on AIM saying, if you can avoid it, just don't do it.
Right.
And there was kind of a conscious decision that we wanted to try and build this and build the equity value ourselves. But it is hard work. In some ways it does limit we've got great ambitions for growth. It does limit the rate at which you can grow because you have to be naturally cautious and risk averse. You can't always take on a lot of punts. And it does mean that you do have to work.
So talking about the product then, is it mainly this kind of customer relationship management, marketing channels, but not just in one place like IVR, but across?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, most CRMs, again, people have been struggling to get ROI on CRM systems since I was a baby. Because, they are, on the whole, good at some of your sales analysis and you're looking at what's going on within your business. But then people are trying to bolt on some of the marketing stuff off the side. So where we've seen the last few years, we've seen the guys like Marketo and Eloqua and the Exact Targets and all these guys focusing on marketing and revenue growth through marketing. So it's taking CRM data, integrating the whole growth in SaaS integration platforms, but with a focus on marketing and the customer acquisition side of marketing.
Yes.
Again, where we're going now with subscription models and so on, and it's all about churn defense strategies, customer loyalty, customer retention.
Yeah.
And you look at what the big customer experience guys are saying. You look at what SAS and all those guys are saying now about even getting chief loyalty officers in companies now as well, part of a CMO function. It's a bit of a gimmicky thing, but loyalty. So what we're at is, okay, let's take your CRM data. Let's take other sources of data like some demographics, some psychographics, behavior-based stuff. We're plugging in sentiment analysis, and then getting that single view of the customer from your CRM, augmented with other interesting stuff, but so that you can then run your marketing. So it's your very targeted, personalised, relevant, engaging content.
Yeah.
Which, let's face it, these days everything, whether it be the marketing, your SEO, it's all driven around content. So getting that targeted content to people through the preferred channel, so being where your customers are at. Then moving that stuff on into very targeted propositions. So again, what we do a lot of the IVR stuff is around targeting propositions at people, building a personalised voice dialogue, improving your conversion rates into sales. But then also that for service. So you create all these segments and your customer personas, and you've got all this CRM data, which you're using to target an offer at someone, let's say. But then when they text back into that, or they come into your microsite, or they call your voice number to hit your contact center, if you're not giving them that same consistent experience to reinforce that offer, to recognize them as an existing valued customer, dear esteemed friend, welcome back, reinforcing that stuff, making them feel valued and cared for, then again you look at the telco market, utilities market, retail. People are voting with their feet. It's so easy to switch these days. Yeah. You've got to start making people feel valued and cared for and special.
So my uneducated perception is, for whatever reason, brands have jumped on Twitter because it's the newest and coolest thing, and suddenly Twitter seems to become a way to shortcut your way into people in an organisation that are empowered because they're in the social media team, to make decisions because the timeliness of that reaction is really important. Whereas, if you go through the traditional methods of email or IVR, you have a really, really frustrating experience. So do you see that kind of shift of traffic moving onto Twitter? Is it just a trend that's going to change? Or?
I think it's here with us for good. I mean, there have been some great conversation even now about getting rid of email within businesses and going towards the whole social media stuff. I think for brands, they can't ignore stuff because it's having your conversations in public.
This guy I follow on Twitter in the US, fairly big kind of profile, but he was on a call with Comcast complaining about his cable or whatever. So he was actually going through an IVR, but simultaneously slagging them off on Twitter. Is there that ability to thread the two things together so the call agent can actually say, hang on a second,
I tell you what,
I'm busting my balls to help this guy, but he's slagging me off on Twitter simultaneously.
It comes down to this acquisition of cross-channel contact points. So something we're still looking at. If you've only got someone's phone number, I think you can then run, and you can use things like Facebook campaigns and competitions and promotions. Again, you've got to give customers stuff. And use this whole inbound marketing, give people useful stuff, and in return build your dialogue with them and your engagement with them. And I think if you can then start acquiring this profile where this person's telephone number and their mobile number, and they prefer to call you rather than to email you, and they always answer their emails at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon, and maybe you do something through email and you've got some social sharing and they shared stuff, and you can then acquire their Twitter ID. Then you can start looking at what they're saying about you, plug the thing together. So there is massive power in social, and it's the whole consumer revolution.
Because social will be, there'll be something else after Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, there will.
So Facebook and Twitter will become IVR and email.
Well, they'll become. I mean, it's becoming a utility. So any kind of social communication channel, it will become invisible. So I think what it will come down to largely will be things like, certainly with more bandwidth, it'll become voice and video. We talked about the whole interactive voice and video response, IVVR, a while back, and that never really went anywhere at the time. But once you start getting 4G and so on, I think there is going to be I mean, Apple wouldn't have done the whole Siri thing unless they thought voice still had a place and voice
Yeah,
interaction.
and
Google's doing the voice search and so on.
And we see that there's a lot of interesting startups like Twilio for one.
Yeah,
you know,
Twilio,
doing
absolutely.
like voice APIs, building
up.
IVR systems.
But it's got to be joined up.
Yeah.
But I think voice, video, more immersive, natural means of communicating will be the things which endure. But they've got to be joined up with everything else. You know, if you've got an old-fashioned contact centre which is just working in isolation from a little bit of CRM over here, totally is disjoined from what your customers are saying over here. Ain't gonna work.
That's what it feels like right now.
Ain't gonna work.
The person you're talking to, as you said, it's all about the quality of the people, the training,
absolutely,
their rapport with the customer. Why does my credit card company make me punch a 16-digit number in 2 or 3 times in an IVR? First question when you get to the person, what's your credit card number?
Yeah. And they'll try and say that's for security purposes, which is nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
They need to come and talk to you then.
Yes, they do.
Excellent. Nicely done.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for coming in. Really
Thanks
good
for the
stuff.
chat.
Yeah, that was great. It's probably too far to lean over, but unlike punch, Chris in the face.
Excellent.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, so that was Justin Boswer, and his company's based in Ipswich in East Anglia, and we're recording this in central London, which is kind of tech city where everything is, but this show's not all about just London and just startups in London, stuff like that. So last week we were at Bath Digital Festival, which was a 10-day event, which was amazingly put on in the small town of Bath. And we had stars coming in from all over to come and talk, and we had lots of different events. I think there were like 80 different events or something put on throughout. Started off with something called Cross Media Lab. You came to the Sparkies Awards, which was on the Wednesday night.
Oh, where's your Sparky?
Oh, I didn't bring it. I don't like to show off, really.
Chris won a Sparky for best startup?
Yeah, best startup in Bath, and so it's a digital festival, right? So it's a tech startup business, and so Bardau won. Yeah, so another award in the can. But as has been pointed out a number of times, we haven't shipped yet. So we're working on it.
But it could be worse. You could have not shipped and have no awards.
Exactly.
So.
It's nice to get the recognition. So the Sparkies was good, and then we ran something called the Big M Open Mic, which was a mobile conference on Thursday and Friday, and then on Saturday the whole organising team slept. Absolutely exhausting, but really interesting. What were your thoughts about being in Bath?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of only there for a day and a half, but it was just as you said, it's a kind of small place, right? But it felt like the whole city was kind of part of what was going on. So tech is obviously a huge proportion of the business community. So fair play. How a town of that size can put something on that's so impressive.
Yeah,
I think is a kind of is a great showcase for the area.
Do you like my T-shirt? Carrying on the Bath theme?
Yeah, so Apple Gareth Southgate.
Yeah.
Is this
Southgate is the Apple store in Bath.
Okay.
So when you
Apple
queue
aren't
up...
sponsoring Gareth Southgate?
Nothing to do with Gareth Southgate, no.
Okay.
No, not many people in our audience are going to know who Gareth Southgate is.
Really?
I don't think so.
Don't tech people like football?
Some don't.
We do.
I do, yeah.
Do you like Gareth Southgate?
No, not particularly. So you didn't know, but when an Apple store opens... Have you got an Apple store in Bedford?
No.
Okay. When an Apple store opens in a new town, I'm sure they'll be coming there soon.
Unlikely.
Very unlikely. You queue up, as they do. People queue up and they give you a T-shirt as you come in.
You're a fanboy.
In a little Apple box.
You queued up to get into the store.
I've queued up twice there to get my iPad when that launched.
Really?
2 years ago, and when it first opened.
How long did you have to wait in the queue? Did you sleep in
We got there at 6 in the morning. Me and Rich Spence.
Yeah.
And we were allowed in at 8 or something. So
2 hours for a T-shirt.
Yeah, we're number 4 and 5 in the queue for iPad.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's good.
So you're a fanboy?
I am, totally. Apple fanboy. Yes. Right, enough ramblings.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've got through to this bit, that's good.
Mm.
And next week...
more quality on its way.
Yes. I mean, we've got some fantastic guests lined up. If anybody has any ideas for guests, get in touch. You can get in touch by Twitter.
Yes.
Hashbang TV is our at Hashbang TV. Yes.
Yes.
You can get in touch with us on our Facebook page.
Yes.
We don't have a Google Plus page, but we're not going to talk about that anymore. What was the other way that people can get? They can ring
blog.
you.
The blog.
Oh yeah.
They can ring me.
Leave comments. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they can't ring me.
Leave a voicemail for you, can't they?
I don't do voicemail.
Okay, that's a topic for another time.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay. Right.
Hashbang TV.
Yeah.
Episode 6.
In the can.
In the can.
In the can.